What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and it's been a while, but we are going to get back on track. And for today's video, we are actually going to be exploring my top 5 builds here on BCS. Now, these are some of my best builds I've built in the past year or so. A lot of these are super huge and super awesome. We're going to check all of them out and take a look at them, every single one of them. So if you like these builds, then be sure to check out my other videos. I've showcased many. A lot of these builds I actually have not finished yet, and I probably will not get to finish in the future, and I probably will not showcase as well, so that's why I'm going to put them all into one top 5 list today. So if you guys like all of them, check out my other showcases. There's a lot of other cool builds that I will not be featuring in this video. Other than that, let's begin. Alright, so number 5 on our list is Craigdarroch Castle. Now this is probably one of the oldest builds on this list. I built this about 2 years ago. It's still a nice, really beautiful house, very realistic. It actually is based off a real life castle somewhere in Canada. I'll leave a picture of it on the top right corner, but it is a pretty accurate representation of the build itself. A lot of the detail is a little more bland than I'd probably make it now, but I still think it's a pretty nice build. Probably one of my first mega builds. It does have a full interior, so we're going to check a little bit of that out, but I hope not flying too fast like I usually do. But here's some shots of the castle itself. It's got some basic landscaping around it that Mikey Mob actually helped me out with this. He actually pasted the whole thing in for me. This is originally on World of Krause, but then I've got it pasted over here to get it landscaped and everything. So we're gonna go inside. So yeah, built by me, Craigdarroch Castle. Said it was located in Canada. In here we have some very basic interior. It is a bit outdated for my taste. I would definitely make it a little better, a little more clean. But this is kind of some rooms in here. Now I did base everything in here off of the real interior. I got some pictures. I try to make this the most realistic as possible. As you can see, there's like a huge staircase. I'm not going to go through the whole castle, but you kind of get the gist of the entire thing. But if you want to check it out yourself, I'll leave the location in the description down below. But other than that, I think it's pretty strong and a lovely build. So we are going to go on to number 4. Alright, so number 4 on our list is Big Ben. Now I'm sure you guys all know Big Ben, probably one of the most famous clock towers or buildings in England and maybe even the world. Pretty well known building, and I think it's very beautiful. Everything down to these pillars and these archways and the windows definitely makes a very unique structure here. Now I built everything, the clock tower and the surrounding buildings up to here, and I tried to make it as realistic as possible, just like Craigdarroch. I'm pretty sure you all know how the real building looks, but there's a lot of mini details that a lot of people do not see, especially from pictures. If you ever been here in real life, you would see all these small details. But that's basically how this architectural style goes, Neo-Gothic. A very, very unique and precise sort of style to build. Now here I have the top of the tower with the big clock. And I think I like the clock the most. I try to make it as cool as possible. We got everything down to the hands and the little parts of the clock over here. Now there is no interior in this, which is kind of like, something that I didn't feel like doing on this huge build. I might do an interior in the future. I know builds wanted interior. Now this was actually for builds, which is why it has like the little garden over here with builds creative, little goose and everything. I did create this for builds for his 10k kind of little gift, and he was going to review it, but there was no interior, so yeah, I apologize for that. But I hope you guys like it. I think it's a pretty strong build. I think it's pretty cool and unique. I don't know, you guys tell me how you think about this, if you've seen a better version of this build. But we are going to move on to number 3. Alright, so number 3 on this list is probably one of my favorite, and I do actually urge you guys to check this out. It's probably a really big build, and I probably will not be able to check out all the detail that goes into this build, but it is my Gothic Cathedral. Now, this is probably one of my favorite builds because of the amount of detail that I put in this and the amount of work, and I think it did pay off. It is a really nice build. And another thing is, I did not base this off a single church or anything. I actually came up with most of the design. As you can see, there's everything that goes into a traditional church, everything for the cross kind of structure here, to the spires and everything. And one thing I do urge you guys to check out if you actually come on here is the bay, not the bay window, the rose window over here. Now this is a huge rose window. It's probably, I think, about 21 blocks long and 21 blocks wide. It's a very big rose window, and it did take a very long time for me to build. And you know, these things, if you actually know how to build these things, they're actually not easy to make. You know, it's a lot of shape work and everything, but I think it looks really nice, especially this entire build over here. As you can see, there's a lot of raised pointed arches everywhere, but I think that a lot of the main details are, you know, the best on here. But you guys check it out. Really, there is no interior as well. This is one build that I really want to work on the interior in the future, but we're just gonna go inside and take a look at the interior just a little bit. But as you can see, I started working on it, started working on the ceilings and everything. But yeah, this is one big mega build. I actually have no idea where to put this when I do finish it, but I'll find somewhere, hopefully on the map. But here are the arches and everything. One thing I did not like about this build is actually how narrow these the middle of this is. I don't know whether it's arches or the placement of things, but I didn't like how narrow it is. I think it's only about 18, 19 blocks long. But other than that, I think this is a pretty cool build. Let's see what else there is to check out on this build. I haven't been here in a while. But here is the side view of the build. This church, another rose window, not as big as the other one, but pretty big. It's a little less detailed on the side, but still a lot of detail. Now this back part is actually probably the hardest part. I remember actually building this, because you know, I didn't know how to use World Edit at the time, so I had to hand build all these angles and everything. Tried my best. As you can see, there's some inaccurate parts on here, especially these sides that go on this angle. But I still think that this part is, you know, turned out pretty well. Other than that, you know, here it is, the Gothic Cathedral. We're going to move on to number 2 now. Alright, so number 2 on this list is Castleisland. Now this is probably the largest but the most unfinished build of everything on this list. Now as you can see, there's a town below. I did not actually build the town. This was actually sort of a collab between Smith's Boss, Vigard, and I. We really did a good job on everything here. They did a really nice job on the town below, especially all the angles of the houses and the styles of the houses. Everything here is pretty unique and pretty awesome as well, especially the landscaping. As you can see, everything here was actually hand landscaped. And, you know, everything from the curves and the angles, everything is out. Really makes a nice realistic build down below. But we're actually going to focus on the castle, which is what I built. As you can see, I try to make everything as unique as possible, especially the exterior and the towers. As you can see, all the towers are different sort of styles. We got like a pointed roof over here, and then we have sort of a different sort of roof. Everything's different, but I try to make it like that. And then here is probably the most unfinished part, or the only unfinished part of the build. I really had no idea how to do this part, and I'm still trying to figure it out to this day. Hopefully I can finish it in the future, but a lot of this is just, you know, undone, so I don't want to go show you guys the unfinished parts. So let's take a look at the finished parts of the build. Here we have the courtyard, which is basically complete. I just have like maybe one more house to build, but we have like these little sort of barracks areas where, you know, soldiers kind of live. Got a little blacksmith. Here's I think it's like half of a stable. I don't know what happened to the other half. I'm gonna put something else there, but just gotta finish that up later. Here we have some Tudor parts. Now I created these like little wooden parts. There's another one actually over here for sort of a contrast. You know, I don't want this whole thing to be gray. I know a lot of my builds, you know, everyone says that they're very bland. They don't have a lot of color. So I try to create as much contrast as possible. Then again, I'm not really the guy that likes to create like 10 different colors everywhere. But, you know, in terms of the exterior, I really like this build. Not really much of a build that's supposed to be vibrant and colorful. More realistic, you know. In real life, these builds aren't supposed to be that colorful. But I think that it's really cool without the colors. Oh, a little lag there. But, you know, you guys tell me how grand this castle is. If you guys like, you know, more of a gray sort of color palette, or if you want something really popping out at you, you guys tell me what you think. But we are actually going to move on to number 1 on the list. Alright, so number 1 on our list is the Baroque Villa. Now this is a pretty solid build. It is probably the most recent and probably the most likely to be finished as well. As you can see, most of the exterior is done. I still have like some to do on the side over here. But I've been working at this build for quite a while now, a few weeks on end now. Which probably explains why I haven't actually been uploading. And I've been really working on this build. It's supposed to be one thing to really up my portfolio. If you haven't actually checked out my portfolio, a lot of these builds are actually on there. I linked them to every single one of my videos. It's usually on the very bottom. So if you really want to see all my builds, all my best, then check that out. I really urge you to. It's a really nice portfolio. But other than that, you know, let's explore this build a little. As you can see, there's some different styles going into this build. I put some Gothic in here, maybe even a little like Greco-Roman as well. This is a classical build. It is Baroque, so that's basically sort of the same style. But I really put some sort of like Pantheon-looking arches over here and pillars. Over here we have that rose window and some pointed arched windows. Try to get that church kind of look going on. But over here, this is probably the coolest part of the build, in my opinion. Whoops, a little lag going on. But here, you know, I made a really big risk making this. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I thought it was going to look terrible. But in the end, I think it looked pretty unique, this whole entire structure. Now, my favorite part of this build, other than that, is actually the greenhouse, which is over here. This is a huge extended greenhouse. Very Victorian kind of looking. Now, the reason why I like this is, well, yeah, the way it turned out. But, you know, once I put trees in here, it's really going to make the build look 10 times better. It's going to make a really nice contrast as well. Add some life into this build. But, as you can see, there's actually no interior going on in here. It's way too big of a build to be building interior. But this is purely just for exterior only. Now, in terms of the exterior, it does look a bit over detailed. I don't know. You guys tell me how you think. In some areas it looks really over detailed. In some areas it doesn't. But, you know, everyone has their different tastes. Maybe you guys like a lot of detail going on. Maybe you don't. But that's basically the build itself. Tell me how you think. You know, if you like a lot of exterior or a little. You're kind of like that minimalistic guy. But other than that, here's the entire build itself. Now, I will add landscape into this in the future. Add some really cool stuff to it. And when I say the future, you know, very, very close. Maybe even tomorrow or the next day. I'm not sure. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done on this build. But then again, a very little to be done as well. But other than that, that is basically the entire build on its own. And that is the Baroque Villa. Alrighty guys, that is basically the top 5 list of all my builds. Basically the best of the best. Now if you want to see all these builds in sort of one area, then check out my portfolio. I link it in every single description and every single video. It's just see every single, you know, it's on my Twitter, it's everywhere. I really urge you guys to check that out. It's got a lot of builds you've never even seen before that are really cool. Now I do have to have a little disclaimer when checking out my portfolio. And this also goes for any build that I actually showcase. I do not have any downloads. Now that is a very, very highly asked question. Everywhere I showcase a build, I do not have downloads for this because 2 reasons. One reason that I do not have downloads is because, you know, plagiarism runs rampant in the Minecraft community. I do not like giving out my prized builds to some random guy on Minecraft. Even it's not that I don't trust anybody. It's just that, you know, I don't really like to give them out. Also, I don't have all the downloads as well. They're usually scattered everywhere. Some of them are on here, and I'm not able to obtain them. Other than that, you know, check out my build. If you want to actually see my build, then, you know, come on BCS. I have the directions to every single one of these builds on here. They're all accessible. I'll leave every single one of those directions in the description as well as the video. You'll find them. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am a little bit stuttery today because, you know, it's my first time back on this video, on these videos for a while. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.